Bid you welcome to Montober. This is the second to last video in my series. It's been a fun month, but today, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. This time, Bela Lugosi is playing the Frankenstein monster. Ironic considering he initially turned the role down. Before I go into the full review, I want to know it should be noted that although some people have put down Bela Lugosi's portrayal of the monster, if you watch how he's doing, even holding his arms out like this, he's playing it like it's set after Ghost of Frankenstein, and there were lines of dialogue in the script that were cut out that confirm it's set after Ghost of Frankenstein because Igor's brain was put in the monster's body and he went blind, and if you watch, Lugosi is playing it like he's blind. Now, it should be interesting to note, though, whenever you ask someone to imitate the monster, they do hold their hands out like this, imitating the Lugosi monster. And when you ask someone to imitate Dracula, they almost always imitate Lugosi. So, whether it's the monster or Dracula, it's typically Lugosi that's imitated. Just thought that would be an interesting note. Now, the movie begins with two grave robbers breaking into the Talbot mausoleum. We see Larry's been buried with Wolfbane. They pull the Wolfbane off, take his ring off, and the moonlight hits him and he begins to turn. He grabs the one robber, the other one flees. Great atmospheric cemetery scene as only Universal could do. Larry winds up in a hospital in London. He's got the scar on his head from the wound his father got. We find out the dad died not too long after. And then we see the first full transformation of the Wolfman with Laurie laying down and he begins to turn. We see the face. If you've seen my video about Lon Chaney Jr., you'd know this. If not, it should be noted that this transformation could have taken as long as 20 hours to shoot. 20 hours of Laurie Talbot, of Lon Chaney Jr. lying in one place, and that pillow he was laying on so they could keep continuity and he wasn't misshaping the pillow every time he had to get up for the makeup. It was a pillow made of plaster. So yeah, spending 20 hours shooting laying on a plaster pillow, not what I would call fun. He kills a police officer. He ultimately leaves. The doctor naturally doesn't believe he's the Wolfman. He meets up with the gypsy woman from the first movie and she agrees to help him take him find Dr. Frankenstein. Eventually he turns and winds up in Frankenstein's castle and finds the monster underneath it covered in ice. He frees the monster and the monster takes him to where Frankenstein's notes should be. Eventually he meets up with Frankenstein's daughter. The villagers are distrusting of him, of her. The other Larry's doctor from the hospital shows up and he's still hesitant to believe. Eventually the monster shows up. There's one part where there's this musical number and he's talking to Frankenstein's daughter and this guy comes up and says something about life and death and Larry's having a good time until that, and because of his situation he understandably freaks out at that line, but that's about the time the monster shows up. Now the other doctor, he undergoes what I call the curse of Frankenstein. And it's a common theme in the Frankenstein movies with Universal that there's a doctor that just gets blinded by the power of what this monster's capable of, and he wants to see it at full power. They use a dam to run turbines to power the equipment in the lab, and they're basically he's promising to kill Larry, but he's also supposed to kill the monster, but he lied, doesn't really do a thing to Larry, and he tries to bring the monster to full power. While this is going on, the villagers see strange goings on at the castle, and they're pros at this point. One of them's going with dynamite to blow the dam to take out the castle. Eventually, Larry and the Wolfman, I mean, not Larry and the Wolfman, the Frankenstein monster at full power and the Wolfman fight. It's not what you would expect by today's fight standards. There's a lot of just jumping and like the monster throwing the Wolfman. They balance the two monster strengths nicely. The monster has brute force behind him, but the Wolfman has speed. And it all ends with the dam exploding and them being washed away. The Frankenstein's granddaughter, I kept calling her daughter, but she's the granddaughter of the original Henry Frankenstein, and the other doctor escape. This is a fun movie. The acting is pretty solid throughout. We get more of Maliba the Gypsy Woman, which that was a great actor. And we get to see Larry Talbot grow as a character and Lon Chaney Jr. improve as him. Bela Lugosi is solid as the Frankenstein monster, although I don't think the makeup suits his face as much. If you'd seen it, you know what I'm talking about. The head, like the forehead, has this kind of weird smushed in overlaid look. It's not a bad makeup, but just Bela Lugosi did not have the same type of face for makeup that Boris Karloff had. That was just a wonderful palette for Jack Pierce to work with. So, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. Very, very highly recommend it. After the Wolfman, it's my second favorite Universal horror movie. So, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Over and out. I got one more movie review, and I might try to squeeze in a video about Jack Pierce, who did the makeup for the monsters, but I might save that for next year. I'm not decided yet. I'll see you guys later.